want to turn now to North Korea because state media there revealing what it calls new images of its nuclear-powered submarine earlier this week. The photo showing their leader Kim Jong-un inspecting the 8,700-ton nuclear-powered strategic guided missile submarine. This is a long-held goal for Kim. This comes as North and South Korea remain locked in an arms race. Now, South Korea recently got approval from President Trump in October to pursue its own nuclear weapons goals. Joining us now is NewsNation's national security contributor, Tracy Walder. She's former FBI special agent. She's a former CIA officer. Tracy, thanks so much for joining us on this tonight.
Thank you for having me, Natasha.
So this photo is from the North Korean state media. How sure are we about the veracity of images like this? We know how widespread the use of artificial intelligence is as well. Should we be taking these images seriously?
Thank you so much for pointing that out, Natasha. Really, not a lot of individuals have. And you're right, this image cannot be independently confirmed. So we don't know the source of it. It is from North Korean state media, which does have a history, obviously, of altering photos to make themselves look better. That's just what they do. They do not allow independent journalists to come in and verify these claims. Now, it looks like obviously that this is just a hull. We don't know what's inside. We don't know how operational this is. My guess is they wouldn't publish a picture like this if they didn't have some plans underway or some semblance of plans underway. Now, is this thing operational? Absolutely not.
Explain to us, as if we were fifth graders, why is this a threat to the United States? What do you see when you look at these photographs?
So essentially, if they have these and these become operational, these nuclear submarines, the problem is it becomes more about, to be completely honest, China. That's what really this is all about. You have Japan who's wanting to get them. You have South Korea that you mentioned before, who is actively building them, and then obviously now you have North Korea who potentially may be on their way to having them, and then their ability to strike U.S. targets as well as our ally targets. But this is a bigger push, by President Trump in terms of national security, in terms of the military of other nations being able to defend themselves and us not having to come to their rescue.
Yeah, and tell me more about why this is really about China.
So China's Navy, and I think you and I've talked about this before, actually is surpassing ours, quite frankly, in the amount of ships that they have. They have grown exponentially. In fact, the espionage case I worked at the FBI was them stealing naval secrets to hasten their program. And they have absolutely done that at what I think is warp speed. And that poses a huge threat to us, to Taiwan, to South Korea, to other interests in that area. And so other countries who are typically defense oriented and deterrence oriented are now wanting to become more offensive in how they are defending themselves.
What does the U.S. need to do to deter North Korea if these images are real?
I have to be honest, I don't think there's much that we can do to deter North Korea. I think North Korea is going to do whatever North Korea wants to do. I think the biggest kind of chess piece in this is actually probably Russia. Obviously, I don't have information to confirm this, but I do suspect that Russia will help them or has helped them with this program. They basically exchange, North Korea gives them essentially weapons, and then, Russia gives them food, oil, as well as military technology. So Russia could possibly be used in terms of negotiating with North Korea to halt this program or slow the program.
And Tracy, we're also learning that North Korean hackers are using advanced artificial intelligence tools to identify vulnerabilities and exploit blockchain security at record speed. So there's a blockchain watchdog report noting that North Korea stole more than $2 billion in cryptocurrency just this year. If this is true, how do you think the U.S. and its allies can combat this? Are sanctions enough?
Yeah, so one of the things with North Korea that they are actually exceedingly good at, particularly on their own because they get help from others as well, but is really hacking. I mean, that is something they have been good at, and that's something that we have been very hesitant to defend ourselves against because we actually just don't have the capability. Communist nations, so China, North Korea, even obviously some semblance of Russia, they can dictate individuals to engage in this activity, whereas we can't. So they just simply have more people that are able to do this. And so I think we need to develop more of a robust capability, as well as using our allies in other countries around the region in terms of proximity to disrupt their networks.
Tracy Walder, really appreciate the analysis. Thank you so much for your time tonight.
Thank you, Natasha.
Thank you for watching. Subscribe below and download our NewsNation app right now on your phone, and you will get fact-based, unbiased news for all Americans.